Look, I have a lot of mentors in my life and people that I look up to, and when they speak, kind of like E.F. Hutton, you know, the old commercial, everyone listens. And he had some speeches in this locker room that made the mortar shake. He was truly one of the best, gifted as a coach, but more importantly as a teacher, a father, a husband, a part of that Beaver Falls history, but also a part of my grandchildren and their grandfather and that football history. So before we talk Joe Urisda, 1994, his days, the only, as he said, he is a trivia question, to play for, coach with, and coach against the great Larry Bruno Foundation. Joe, I'm looking over some of your bio today, the softball sectional championships, the Beaver Valley, of course, a Hall of Fame here in Beaver County. But I want you to tell the story just to give people hope. Anything is possible. When you and my children's grandfather, Ray Hopper and others, took over, you're at Seneca Valley, you come here, you guys start this new Brighton Lions thing in the 70s. It was dismal. So talk about that period and how you got things going with Coach Petrasca.
Well, I owe everything, my success to Larry Petrasca, because he brought me to New Brighton. How that whole thing started was Larry and Hop and I were at Geneva, and then I was a junior high coach over there 2 years. Traz and I got to be really good friends, and he always said, if I ever became a head coach, you're coming, right? And I said, yes. And what happened was I was at Seneca Valley for 7 years. Ed Carey was my good friend. He quit. I didn't get the head job. Traz and I will never forget. We were sitting at halftime at a basketball game because we refereed.
Right.
And he said, I am having an interview at New Brighton. You're coming, right? I said, I'm in. I went out at the second half and met the infamous Zoo. I come back in and said, what the hell's wrong with you? They're nuts.
That's Paul Berdadovich in the Zoo.
And
Mike Berdadovich.
and March beat the coaches. So
That was it.
and we came and we had a good system, we had good coaches, and we lucked out. We won the first three. Danny blocked the punt at Beaver, and here covered.
It was a beast.
And we ended up 6-4. And then 1980, we lost the single cell at Everett for the Olympic Champions.
Yeah, Paul, of course, Devo at quarterback, it seems like yesterday. Brian Devo, rather.
That was the only team I've ever been associated with after we lost. We all cried together as a team.
That, you know, against Seton LaSalle, Tom McDonough, of course,
Yeah.
became big with the Steelers,
Yeah.
was the coach, 14-12 the final. I think my son has the game ball somewhere in his house. This is what I got to ask you, though. So Traz comes here, and I've interviewed Traz. He was the very first coach I ever interviewed on the radio. I love him. My children are so lucky. Beautiful daughter, great family, wonderful son, daughter-in-law, grandchildren, the best of the best, and beautiful wife Stevie that keeps it all together, Stephanie. If Larry Bruno decides to retire, he never comes to me, right? Because he supposedly, what everyone tells me, was the guy in waiting, the chosen one to replace the legendary Larry Bruno.
And-
Fact or fiction?
And he got tired of waiting.
Okay, he said it.
I said,
Somebody finally admitted it.
he got tired of waiting, and the only reason that Bruno retired was he every year he said he was going to retire. He said something to the Post-Gazette, and they ran with it. He almost.
So he had to.
So he had to. But Traz got tired of waiting, and he may never admit it, but and the rest.
He
of
was a great football coach, wasn't he?
Yes, he was. He was good.
And so are you. Now, before we love on you a little bit more, I just want to kind of zigzag a little bit. There's a lot of stuff I want to get to. Joe Urisda is your longtime athletic director, softball coach, football coach. He's done it all, referee, you name it. Still, when he needs to, steps in as a substitute teacher. So,
One more thing about
go ahead.
Traz.
Go ahead.
When we came, okay, we had each other's back. He was the head coach. We were loyal to him. Whatever he said, even though we disagreed, we went with it.
That's the way it should be.
And that's the way it was. I was the defensive guy, he was the offensive guy. And what's funny is, a lot of people don't realize that he would get, his stomach would get upset.
Big time.
Yes, right before the games, and we already had it down. I would run full house 27 belly. I told the guy I was allowed to run till he was okay.
All of you had that connection to Geneva, and still to this day, that love of that school. Boy, that's a special place, right?
Yeah, it is. It is. It's different.
Yeah.
Like everything else is different, but you know, I was fortunate I came with him.
What about growing up in Beaver Falls, the height of that place, and Larry Brew? Just talk about that a little bit.
Well, first of all, I'm an original Hunky Alley fan.
That's right.
I was born in Hunky Alley.
But then what happens?
Well, when I was 2 years old, we moved to Beaver Falls, right by the Owls Club.
Right.
And I really never started playing football until ninth grade. And that's when Bruno was there, and you know, he started winning. And,
It was massive.
It was unbelievable. But it was tough. But my two brothers graduated from Brighton. My other two brothers graduated from WPIAL. My sisters didn't because in those days they had to go to work. So, but I loved Hunky Alley.
Yeah, man. Judge Ross is from there. So many people I know from there.
Well, Tito Francona and my family were very close.
Right. Can you imagine if Terry Francona would have played football?
Oh, yeah.
He would have been pretty good. I mean,
Yes.
his dad was pretty good.
Yes, he was.
But he would have been a pretty good football player. Anyway, so let's go back now to New Brighton. We're talking about you. Now, I'm doing a little background today. Not a lot, just enough to kind of get me here to get ramped up. Do you ever think about the players, and I just rattle them up like Paul and Beatley and Rebar and Fat and Florence. Do you realize the studs you had on that football team?
I've always said this. You win with talent.
Yeah.
You win with talent. And I'll say this, and I think I'll never be wrong. That junior class and that senior class that went 13-0 and lost in the States,
Yes.
probably the two best athletic classes to come out of New Brighton.
I mean, I'm rolling through those names today, and I'm thinking, my goodness, you know, time kind of has a way of making you forget. But 91 you're in, coming back, 4 wins, looks dismal, you know there's hope on the rise. What was it about Shiro, Ronnie Shiro? I saw this story in the option. Explain that to me.
When we would play Riverside,
Right.
they would run this option. And we knew they were going to run it. We knew. And we couldn't stop it. So, the year we won the Whip,
94.
I put it in because Mike Holloran.
That's the other name, Mike
Holloran refused to be a quarterback because of his brother. And so I'm in my office. It's the spring of his junior year, and he says, "Coach, would you let me be the quarterback?" And I said, "Well, Mike, I'll have to."
Now, I don't know everything. Explain what you mean about his brother. What?
Andy.
Oh, yeah.
Andy was a quarterback.
Okay.
He didn't want to be a quarterback, I guess, because his brother was.
Oh, okay.
So anyway,
Okay.
he says, I said, "Well, Mike, I'll just have to consider that." And so he's pleased, and he closes the door. And I jump out of my chair. And jump out.
Thank you.
Yes, and that we put that in, and that was one of the reasons why we won. But the other reason we won was we had intelligent players. Mike Rebo went to Harvard. Okay, he was our defensive captain. He would come out every series. We go over what worked, what didn't work. Mike Holloran was good, and he knew that what worked. I listened to my players. I wasn't one of these hardheads. You know, they're out there in the field. You know, they know what's going on, and I would listen to them. And we had a great year. I mean,
Oh, a great year.
But see, here's the other. We had 800 kids in our school.
Okay, that's the other thing.
Now we have 400.
That's exactly what I want to bring up.
It's a numbers. You know what? I have a couple of funny stories about that WPIAL season.
Okay.
Well, I have a nephew, Dave, you see.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, he would come to the games with my son. Well, he had this clove of garlic. So, and he would tell the kids on the sidelines, this is magic garlic. And as we start winning, they would ask him if he had the garlic. So we're going to Three Rivers, and we're waiting for him and my son to go on the bus.
Right.
He forgets, as they're coming here, he forgets the garlic. My son says, I'll just stick it under like a hat. He goes, go back. He held the bus up. So he come in, I said, do you got the garlic? He said, yeah. I said, show me. All the kids said, show him. So he hasn't encased it. That was one of the nice things about the season that was fun. The other one was Poe James.
Yeah, I saw that. Go ahead.
Well,
Great running back in Brighton.
we're going to play Burrow and Butler.
Right.
So one day of practice, he's outside the fence. Rico and Mittner don't know who he is.
Johnny Mittner, Coach Joe.
They don't know who he is. So
They don't know who he is.
no, they don't know who he is. So they're going to play a joke on him. They come and say, hey, Poe James is outside the fence. Have him talk to the team afterwards. So it was him. So after the practice, he comes in and he goes, the first thing I want to tell you is I'm the greatest running back that ever came out of New Brighton and ever will come out of New Brighton. And then he said to Josh Beakley, he says, do you roll the sevens when you score a touchdown? So I said, when I scored a touchdown, I roll the seven. So he said, I want you to make me a promise, when you score, you're going to roll the sevens. So we let Josh wear his jersey that game up, and he scored 3 times and rolled the sevens.
He wore Poe's jersey.
Yes. The Poe's jersey wasn't retired then. So he wore
33.
He wore Poe's jersey at Burrow, at the Butler against Burrow.
I never knew.
And he rolled the seventh. Post, look at our pep rally.
So, okay, when you told me that story, sadly, when you get to this age, you see each other at funerals more than you do anything
Yeah.
else, and you and I were talking. I said, well, there's got to be at least X amount, and I was way off, kind of like I was in math and algebra all those years to be Brighton. I couldn't believe the numbers. So, how can you become successful again when these numbers continue to dwindle? And not that the athletes aren't here, but kids have a whole lot more things to do now than they did even 30 years ago. How do you get them to buy in?
I think the other problem now is the K through 12 kid is dwindling. But New Brighton's 65% ranked. So they're in and out, you know, and I sub now at New Brighton.
I know you do. Grade school district.
No, I sub at the high school.
Yeah, I know.
But it's a numbers game. I mean, people need jobs that are problem too.
We need more jobs.
But they want a job, they have to work. But I think Johnny's going to do well.
He just seems to have that right attitude.
Right. But you're never going to have, like we had 50,
On the team.
but it was the numbers. We had 900 in school.
Yeah, but you got to admit, and I'm not bragging on you because you're here, but those names that I mentioned, they were all solid football players.
And 90% of them came from midgets.
How do you feel about that whole thing being gone now? How that whole the midgets, mighty mites, all that stuff has changed?
I think what hurts more than anything is we don't have a ninth grade team.
Yeah.
That made, Johnny and I were talking about, that solidified those kids together. But it's a numbers game. When you only got 400 kids in the high school now, and there's hardly any ninth grade teams now, if there's any.
So the softball World Series underway right now. College, I'm watching a little bit, working out today. I was thinking, a lot of people may not know you're in the Hall of Fame, but your success with softball, I'm looking at that today thinking, that's phenomenal.
But we had numbers.
Yeah, but
I
you
have-
made those numbers work though, in a big way. You can have numbers
Well-
that have that kind of success.
But we always had a pitcher. You gotta have, Heather Young started that.
Why softball? What made you fall in love with softball?
Here's what happened. Jody Bowles is a senior.
Right.
Carol Ripper retires coaching softball. Nobody wanted it. They were going to drop the program.
No.
So she hounded me and hounded me. And I said, get away from me. I'm a football coach.
I don't want anything to do with that.
Just take it my senior year. So she talked me into taking it her senior year. All right, so that she could finish her senior. And I just kept at it.
So I'm gonna be talking to Del Belloc a little bit, related to that other guy by the name of Brian Debo.
Yeah.
I just got a love on him a little bit. That Debo Johnson family, the great connection, how it came together after that tragic car crash. Walt, Debo, Maggie, Marge, they basically said, we're all in it together. That was a gutsy family. And Brian done so well. He was like a running quarterback that you always wished you could have. I don't think he gets enough recognition of how good of a quarterback he was. Can you just give him a little love, please?
Oh,
Brian.
Brian was great.
He was.
He was. And we had Pinchatti on an 80 team. But see, Brian and Trask clicked.
Big time.
Big time. They clicked. And we, you know what, it was a great season, you know? I mean, it was just so happened
I'll tell you
that,
another.
well, we had Herman,
Oh yeah, stud.
but once again,
Giant.
as a defensive coach, I listened to my players. And he went to Vanderbilt, but when he would come out, I would talk.
Listen, before I let you go, there's so much I want to talk to you about. I never get a chance to talk to you. Through some of these names out of the past, I was talking about Paul Dadovich, the zoo, who was on the pit. He was a great quarterback. Obviously, knees gave out. But you know, one of the best and most fierce, and I saw him play, called the Penn, Ohio game that he was in out in Salem. Mike Dadovich, you know him well.
Yeah.
He was a flat-out monster. He was incredible. And when you look at aggressive, I mean, you think of some of the greats, Christy Toole and others who came out of here. You've got to put Mike Dadovich right in there.
Yeah. I remember when it quickly had a running back, a wide receiver, and we stuck him on there. He hit him so hard. The guy went down, and so did Mike started. Well, Mike was,
He was great.
he was.
All right, so John McCouga, looking forward to the season. I am.
So am I.
Why do you love New Brighton so much? And even Trash, who I still don't understand why he didn't coach somewhere else. And I've asked him, but nobody will ever tell me the truth. The guy should have had 10 job offers after he left New Brighton. But why New Brighton? Why do we still love this place so much?
I loved it because the kids loved me.
Maybe.
And I was just fortunate to be at the right place at the right time. I used to run down the sidelines.
You were animated.
Well, I was. That's the way I was.
Your poor wife, God bless her. How did she put up with you all these years? And Trav's beautiful wife, because football is a year-round thing, and you know, it's a lot of work.
Well, you know what? Stevie and my wife were good friends, and back in those days, that's the way it was.
It was.
But the year we won in '94, the fumble, 13 straight weeks didn't pick us.
Come on.
Nope. So when we won the WPIAL,
You know, I know who the fumblers is, I'll never admit it.
I know it is, but I have a picture when we won the WPIAL.
Right.
I said, take that, fumbler. I did. 13 straight weeks.
Listen, I'm 67. I still look forward to the fumbler every week. Pittsburgh Post Gazette. You know I love you. I'm so proud of everything you've done in your life. And no matter what anyone says, you're a great teacher. But man, you were a great football coach.
Let me say something what my dad told me.
Okay?
I'm the first receiver to graduate from college.
First.
Now they're all time. But they had a little party for me. This party's over and he goes, hey, Mr. Big Shot, don't you ever forget where you came from. And I took that philosophy to my teaching. And because if Johnny McCouga was in a class and we walked in the faculty room and they said he was a jerk. Johnny McCougar came in my class, that didn't matter. And I had many a characters.
Listen, because of the McCougar family and watching Mark's dad come down from up there singing in the choir to go to communion, I know the whole history. I'm still allowed on Grove Avenue after 10 o'clock at night. But I'll never forget the famous words my father told me. How does anyone flunk conduct? How do you flunk conduct? You're never going to get out of school. But I made it, Dad. But listen, here's the guy. That's the future. Put it on him.
Yes.
Everybody support this guy, support the Lions, and let's get going. And I will never forget everything that you and Travis have done.
Thank you.
Is Ray Hopper anywhere?
Yeah, he's still in Beaver.
I need to wheel him out and get him to do some of these things with me.
Yeah.
All right, enjoy your seat at Rock Pratt. Later
Go
tonight,
Lions.
we're going to Woolly Bullies. We got some Pirate baseball to talk about. How about that Paul Stevens? That kid can pitch.
Yeah.
And then tonight, D&G. How much D&G pizza do you think you eat in your lifetime?
Oh.
Come on now. A truckload? Tractor trailer?
More than him.
Listen, these guys all look good. I can't eat that stuff. But we're going to be able to wear the bottoms tonight, talking some Steelers football too. I don't know why I'm doing this. It just never is. Have a great rest of your night and go Lions. Good night.